service. So when he cooks or do that, clean, and go, oh, honey, thank you for washing the dish.
So many times you think that the touch can only happen during the sexual act and the union between that husband and wife. But the touch could be in the small thing, many boxes. But you never know what's inside until you do what?
Open it.
Open it. All right, and then hold up this, and you'll see that there are other boxes are inside. And men, we need to be romantic. Keep it real.
Hello and welcome to Keep It Real TV. I'm Angelique Bartholomew and I am your host for today's International Women's Day show. So I'm excited to be here with two exciting guests, and I hope that you will stay tuned and listen to the information on International Women's History Month.
Well, Angelique, we want to thank you for being this month's sponsor during Women Month, and we will introduce you. You need no introduction. You're co-host, but also you are the CEO of Intuitive. We're waiting for your slide to come up, and that way the people can see you. We want to thank our sponsor, because without the sponsorship, this program won't air. And you're in business development, global project management, also a global ambassador, and there's your social media handles.
Thank you so much, Dr. K. And I'm really excited to be a part of today's show because I've got a very special guest joining us today from the international stage. Our topic for today is women on the international stage in global markets. So I want to introduce to everyone my friend Michelle MBEO, and she has shared a lot with me over the last several years with regard to Kenya and the work that she's been doing on an international level, as well as here in the U.S. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Angelique, and nice to meet you again, Dr. K. I am very happy to be here. My name is Michelle MBEO. I am the CEO and co-founder of Lakeview Fisheries, which is located in Kenya. I am also the CEO of Africa is Open, which is based here in the United States, aimed at linking the U.S. To Africa. Thank you.
Awesome. So what is International Women's Day really all about, Dr. K?
Well,
It's literally a mobilization of public education, concerns and issues that women face, and it's an effort to pull together the political will to do something about it and make a difference and have women on the international forefront.
Well, today, as we are recording this is International Women's Day, so we want to give a shout out to all of the trailblazers, all of the women in politics, all of the mothers, all of our women leaders in politics or business, and also our military women. I was in the military. And also, this is Women History Month. And all over the world today, the UN has a resolution and a proclamation. But at the beginning of the month, as we celebrate this month-long Women's Month, I just want to give a little history. The origin, it's an honorary observance of the month during the month of March in the United States. And like I said today, and as this program airs on Sunday, we will also honor the International Women by the United States Congress. It was designated in 1987 in recognition of the women's many accomplishments. So we celebrate you, and therefore without you, it is us. Without you, there will not be us. And therefore, the origin began back in 1978 as Women History Day in Sonoma County, California. And it was first started off in 1982 as Women History Week, just like African American history is not enough for 1 week, is not enough for 1 month, because of all of the contributions you have made to society. So we're going to let you take it away.
Wonderful. Well, you heard Dr. K mention the UN, and the United Nations has an agenda for what they are addressing this International Women's History Day. And Michelle, they're talking a lot about investing in women. In fact, the hashtag is Invest in Women. from the UN, and they have put forth a number of different agenda items to end poverty by 2030. Tell us a little bit about your background and your history and some of the things that you've been doing as it relates to Lakeview Fisheries and how you're investing in women.
Sure. Thanks for the question. So, as I've mentioned, I am a co-founder of Lakeview Fisheries. This is a fish farm, largest locally owned fish farm located in Fangano Island, which is a remote island in Lake Victoria in Kenya, which is the eastern part of Africa. This is also my ancestral home. My granddad, my dad, they were born there. And when we go to the village, we'd go visit my granddad on the mainland, not on the island. It was not until I became an adult, I think I mentioned this to you, Angelique, that I went to the island for the first time. And we fell in love with the island. I went with my mom and my siblings, and we fell in love. And wanted to do business there because when I went there, there was nowhere for me to stay as a person whose ancestral home that was. I was very saddened by that. But there were also no jobs. The region is also typically a place that has high orphans because it's a high HIV rate. So quite often the children have lost their mothers, they've lost their fathers, and if they have anybody left, it's the mothers. So because it's marginalized, the people who remain to take care of the children, if they're there, are the women. So I wanted to go back to my ancestral home to do business, but I also wanted to give the women a way of taking care of their families. We'll talk more about how that happens, but that was my biggest push. The beauty of the island and the need to create jobs for women and youth.
That's a really great point, Michelle, and you're right. We had the opportunity to experience that firsthand while visiting Lakeview Fisheries, and we'll share with our audience later on how you have taken delegations to Kenya. Tell us a little bit about how the formation of women's jobs really came about. You mentioned the term fish mamas, and how you brought together the opportunity for them to also learn the trade, but also open up their own small business.
Yes. Because the women became the caretakers, they are the ones who are running the households. They need to feed their children, they need to pay bills, they need to essentially assume the role of a full family that's typically taken care of by a man and a woman. So they are the ones who are running the household. They have to bring in an income some kind of way. And the only way that they could do this, because this is a marginalized island, is to get something to sell. And that something is what's closest to them, which is fish from the lake. But being women, it's difficult for them to be able to go out fishing. The conditions are often quite difficult. The boats are very rudimentary. It needs a lot of muscle power to go out rowing in the middle of the night or very early in the morning, cast your nets, drag them, and catch fish. So it means that the women are left waiting for the men to go out, catch fish, bring it back to them, and let them now make a business out of selling that fish. But quite often men would take advantage of this, and they'd force women to sell their bodies for sex. And the women would have to do this because they had to pay for food for their children or pay for school fees for their children. It's something that's a known term in the region. It's called Jaboya, but essentially it's exchanging your body in order to
Absolutely.
get fish to sell.
And that exchange happens globally. The U.S. has its own name for it.
Sex trafficking.
Exactly.
Sex
Women
trafficking.
will do what it takes to take care of and feed their children. And I don't know any mother, being a mom of 5 myself, that would not take on those roles and responsibilities required to take care of the family.
Can I
Dr.
ask
K?
a question?
Sure.
All right. Now, you say you went back to your ancestry village.
Yes.
So, were you born here in the United States, or?
I was born in Kenya.
In Kenya.
Yes, I was born in the capital city of Nairobi.
Okay.
It is about now maybe a 7-hour commute to the island. But to the village that I'd go visit my grandparents, it's about 5.5 hours. In order to get to the island where the fish farm is, you have to cross by boat. That's why it's marginalized. And in creating these jobs, we now have empowered the women to be fishmongers, as she's calling them, fish mamas. But that's the ancestral bit. I was born in Nairobi, but the ancestral home is.
I went to Nairobi back in January. I was so intrigued with the place, the order. It has some of the finest of roads, and the food is just delicioso and whatnot. You have 15 years as a seasoned entrepreneur.
Yes.
How did you get started? And then what gave you this passion to want to go back? I remember going to seminary, and there were a lot of Africans that came to Oral Roberts University. Many of them did not want to stay in the States. Their desire was to go back and to make life better for their families and for their people, be it South Africa, be it Nigeria, Ghana, etc. So how did you get your start, and what gave you this passion? And then the other question is, do you do microfinancing for these women? Because capital is a big commodity and a big need for them if they're going to start their businesses.
Okay. So that I can remember, I'll start backwards and then work my way forwards. In terms of microfinancing, the short answer is no, I don't do microfinancing as a bank. However, through Lakeview Fisheries, we are very happy to offer loans to our employees. A lot of our employees, Angelique, you met some of our employees, they're able to now tell stories about being able to get loans or food on credit from the local kiosks. This is where they often shop for their food. They can get a line of credit for anything because their bills, their money is guaranteed at the end of the month. So Lakeview offers small loans to our employees, and so that's how we're able to, be able to stretch them out. Were you going to ask?
Michelle, you actually talked about your elevation plan or your advancement plan. I know that you have employees that have advanced, and you implemented one of the first leave programs for women, pregnant women. So those are issues that I think really inflame the issues that women face trying to feed their families, not being able to leave for having a baby, and then the opportunity to advance. Share a little bit about your accomplishments there.
Yeah. So along with the loans, we pay tuition for the women who have children who are of school-going age where they must pay tuition. We actually had a recent graduate who graduated with a straight A. So we encourage them to ensure the children stay in school, and we help them get through school. So we do a lot of those types of programs.
One of the things that I know you began to focus on is poverty and dealing with marginalized areas for feeding communities, and you support a number of schools there, from the orphanage to the high school. While we visited, tell us a little bit about your role in the community with some of the schools in ending poverty.
Yep. So we recognize that we are the largest employer on the island. So back to your question, Dr. K, why did we start this? There was no employment. So we came in to give back what we could. So I feel very privileged in the fact that I've been given something. So the little that I've been given, if I'm able to share that, I'd like to share that. So we are a big employer on the island. Through that, we feel the onus to support children and anybody else on the island. So there are a number of orphanages and middle schools that we support. We provide sanitary towels for the little girls in school. They're not able to get these otherwise. They'll go through the whole term or a semester without pads. So every term we make sure that we have sanitary towels for girls who are of menstrual age.
Some of the minor things that we take for granted here in the United States. And Dr. K, during our visit, Michelle had cases of sanitary napkins and things to take to the village and take to the girls to hand out. There's an entire campaign that was done on women's menstrual cycles and things like that had to be addressed publicly and politically in Kenya.
They do that also in Uganda. In fact, last year when we went, we had to ship, we had a donor to just donate the funds, and we tried getting it in the country. And we had a certificate of donation letters, but yet still our hosts, they still had to pay customs.
Yes.
And why is that? When you're going in, like we're going back to do a medical clinic, and man, you would not believe the red tape.
Yes.
And so how do you have your delegates that go with you, put them in their suitcases, or do you ship them, and how are you able to get them through customs?
I do a mix of everything. Unfortunately, this is the pain of doing, trying to do business in societies that are still trying to develop. We have made a lot of gains, but a lot of these things can be challenging. Customs, for instance, can be a huge impediment when you're trying to create this type of development. And it's serious because girls do not go to school because they don't know what to do with their cycle. So it's a serious problem. How do I get by it? When I take delegations, I've taken delegations of 20, 30, 10. Sometimes I may ask them to bring whatever it is that they want to donate. But part of this is also about empowering the local community and helping them grow.
Absolutely.
So there are local stores, kiosks, shops, supermarkets that we know are trying to do good business, locally owned as well, and just like us, they're trying to grow. We would support them and potentially purchase supplies from them as well.
So having been born there, you came to the United States. Did you immediately start an enterprise, and you are a global leader? What were some of the challenges, Michelle, that you encountered being a woman leader and woman entrepreneur and having your own enterprise?
Very good, loaded question. So, no, I did not start immediately when I came to the United States. I actually started a few years after I came. I first went to school, and then I started traveling back. Got a different lens. I was looking at my environment from a different lens now. As a person who has access to some things that seem very easy and normal here that are not easily accessible there. And I started to think about how can I use that to better the lives of others in Kenya.
So that was your passion then?
That was my passion.
Okay.
Now some of the challenges are dealing in the environment that I'm dealing in. I'm going back to the village to do some of this stuff where sometimes the mentality can be a little bit chauvinistic.
Okay.
So when I come in as a woman, they don't necessarily see me as a woman leader coming into to lead this enterprise. So I'll often get asked if this is my daddy's business or this is my, and we are in partnership. This is a partnership. I have it's family. I have my brother. I have my dad. I have my late mom. But that is some of the challenges, getting them to recognize that sometimes women can also lead and bring a lot of change. That has been a hurdle that I've had to overcome, but Lakeview is there and Lakeview is doing very well.
But you're overcoming a lot of that with, and that segues us into your second industry business in the U.S. Your Africa is Open organization. Intuitive Global is one of your consultants.
Yes.
And you've really built out, Michelle, a full delegation of industry-specific opportunities and industry-specific businesses and entrepreneurs that you not only want to have learn about the region in East Africa, because you're covering all of East Africa, but you also are interested in having them do business directly on the continent. Tell us a little bit about Africa is Open, some of the agendas that you have set forth and that we should look forward to participating in.
Sure. So Africa is Open. I started that as a means of trying to expose Americans in particular to the continent. Being from Kenya, Kenya is a metropolitan country, and I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I was born and raised in Nairobi. I have seen everybody from the world come into the country, so it's very diverse. We're used to seeing people We don't see different cultures. We don't see Americans come to Kenya. And the more that I went back home and the less that I saw Americans, particularly Black Americans, when I went back home, the more that I got concerned, and I wanted to figure out how to connect them to the continent. Because on this side, when I come back as a Kenyan American, I hear my American friends trying to figure out whether or not they're welcome to the continent. But back home, everybody's waiting for my friends, my African American friends. So it's a passion of mine. I, by myself, am able to make an impact in Kenya, in Africa, and I feel that I have a lot of people around me who are able to do the same thing. So my mission is to get as many Americans back to the continent, to be able to make their impact, to feel the way that I feel. It's very fulfilling to be able to go back and give what you can.
There is a divide.
Absolutely.
You have the diaspora here in the United States, and then we have the Africans there. And I have traveled to many nations and with my nonprofit. And the $64,000 question is, why more African Americans don't come to Africa?
Yes.
And then also one time I was in Calabar, Nigeria, and we went to the museums. I've gone to the museum in Haiti, and a lot of times people see Haiti as a poor nation, but they don't realize, same in Africa, there were kings and queens that ruled these dynasties and whatnot. And also in Haiti, there were women queens that ran that country, regal, royalty and whatnot. And he was telling his story. And I said, man, the Africans, Americans need to hear your story, and there needs to be hands across the Atlantic. And I really want to go back and help. And I'm glad that all of our roots, all of society roots are in Africa and whatnot. Let's put up Michelle's bio. We didn't see that, and we want to also ask you a question. You're an executive leader, enterprise owner, global liaison, innovative partner, philanthropist, certified MPM, and Lean Sigma. What do you feel is your why as we move forward, and what do you do to maybe help young ladies to become entrepreneurs here in the States? Do you have a mentoring program? And then Angelique will ask you a question, and then I want to ask you a close.
Sounds good. What is my why? I think we are all put here to make an impact. And when I leave here, I'd like a very good story told about me. Even when I'm still here, I'd like to be able to leave an impression with anybody that I touch. People who are my role models include Bill Clinton, and you hear stories about him walking into a room and just having an impact on people. I want to be able to have a positive impact on particularly marginalized, underserved people who do not have access to the same benefits that many of us take for granted. So this is a why for me. I have access to, or I have the benefit of being able to see this from the American lens and being able to see this from the Kenyan lens. So in America, I'd like to be able to expose my friends, my peers, my colleagues to the beauty that I see on the other side and allow you to be able to share that. I'd like us to get past the story that Africa is so remote and hard to access and so forth. You can do business there. You can thrive. Africa is open. This is what I want us all to know. Africa is open for business, for tourism. It's beautiful, and I'd like for us to be able to do that. This is my why, connecting us to each other to bring all of us up.
And I literally want to thank you for keeping your commitment to that. You insisted that if I'm going to work with you, that I had to travel to the region. And it was a huge eye-opener to really engage at that level with Michelle in the opportunities for trade and development, and multiple small businesses are preparing to head back. This year's focus is on the Business Trade Summit that will be held in April. And we've got a number of small businesses, agricultural, farmers and innovators looking to travel with you. Tell us a little bit about that and how our listeners can actually find out more about Africa is Open at africaisopen.org.
Yeah, definitely. So go to our website for starters, africaisopen.org. We do at least 2 trips a year, a cultural and a business trip. All of them, you will still experience culture, because there's no way that you'll go to Kenya and not experience culture. Matter of fact, anywhere in Africa, pick your place, north, east, west, south. I say East Africa. I'm from Kenya, so I'll start with that. But we have our upcoming trip in April. This time, it's heavily agricultural focused. Previously, we have done energy focused. We've done construction focused. But the point is, this is exposing people from the United States to business opportunities in Africa. So yes.
Give a 1-minute message of hope to some aspiring woman or young lady that would like to walk in your footsteps. They can't walk in your shoes, to be that global entrepreneur and leader.
You can always walk in my shoes. I think that whatever you want to do, multitask. It's not fake it till you make it, but have a vision board. You can achieve whatever it is that you want to do. I did not go through the roughest journey, but I didn't go to the easiest journey. We all go through journeys, and I think if you set your mind to it, you'll be able to make it.
Well, Michelle, we want to thank you on behalf of my wife, Lady Sister Joy. She's not here today. She was looking forward to co-hosting this program, but she's a little under the weather, but that's a gift from us to you.
Thank you very much.
I would like to say, if you can put our sign up, Keep It Real, and I want to thank our host, who's a co-host, she and her husband, Brian. I just love this woman. In fact, I introduced her to a big sister from Nigeria, and she's first thing out of her mouth, well, you got to be kin to Dr. K, because she was kind of sassy. But anyway, Keep It Real, our telephone number, put it back up, 346-697-9473. We do have a sponsor for May. You can call us. We do give you a good rate so that you can get your brand out there as well as your products. And you can see us every Sunday night on Keep It Real TV.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right, thank you. I want to conclude with this about, this is by Bevelyn Beecham. She wrote a proclamation. She also included the history, and we got a few seconds. So she says, unsung sheroes, not forgotten, illuminating reasons in all seasons, beacons, fashion experts, timekeepers, I remember you. I appreciate you. I proclaim you to be the beautiful unsung sheroes, and pray I for you, and I declare that your reward from heaven will never ever be in danger. Mighty woman of valor, all of the above, and so much, 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 much more, as we graciously walk through each and every door. And she gives all glory to God. The keys to success, and you're doing this, and you're doing this also with Intuitive. You find a need and you fill it. Find a hurt and heal it. Find a question and answer it. Find a problem and solve it. So look at your camera, and on the count of 3, we're going to tell our listening audience until next week to keep it real. 1, 2, 3. Keep it real.